or maybe perhaps that there's a bigger message to this Azamra, one more level than just surface level. It's still surface level, but a little deeper, scuba dive, 1 meter down, okay? So the concept that the Rebbe says in the Torah is judging favorably. And what we see clearly is that the Rebbe does not talk about the way we understood. The Mishnah says, here, let's start with a question. The question is, the Mishnah says, Asei l'charav, k'nei l'chachava, v'avedonas kol adam l'kavschus. That you make yourself a Rebbe, you got to buy yourself a friend, and you got to judge everybody favorably. How do we understand judging favorably? The Gemara says, judge favorably. You see a guy going into McDonald's, you got to think that he went to the bathroom. You see him walking out with a bag from McDonald's, it's soda, it's not treif. You see him eating the burger, maybe he put the burger, or maybe he took it for his going to. Someone told me a story, and I mentioned it this morning. Last week, I was learning with Chevra about Dan Lekavskos. Someone told me that his kids saw his brother-in-law they were driving on Coney Island Avenue. They saw his brother-in-law going into McDonald's, Burger King. And they called up the father and they said, Uncle, whatever his name was, Yossi, I just saw him walking into Burger King. It's like, can't be. Yossi's Erlachid. He doesn't go into Burger King. No way. Says, I'm telling you, it's him. So he says, you know what, I'm going to call him. You'll see if he picks up his phone. Watch him. If he picks up his phone when I call him, then you'll know it's him. Sure enough, he calls him. He picks up his phone. They watch him. They see him coming out with 2 bags of McDonald's and Burger King and goes into his car. And so these kids said, Uncle Yossi, he's eating treif. Vadai, right? This guy meets his brother-in-law. He says, listen, I got to tell you, my kids saw you in Burger. I just want you to know that they saw you, because you're going to see they may be distant from you. Know that they saw you. He says, yeah, I went into Burger King because I don't have enough money. And I hired myself to be an Uber Eats driver. And I went into Burger King to pick up, that was the delivery. I had to go into Burger King to pick up Uber Eats. So that's the typical case of Dan Lekavskos, where we can't think. But the Rebbe is telling us something different. Because the Rebbe says you have to judge everybody favorably, even a Rosh Hashanah, even someone who's very wicked and very evil, which is a big chiddush, because the Rambam says you're not allowed to judge favorably a Rosh Hashanah. The Rebbe seems that. So perhaps the Rebbe is giving a new idea of Dan Lekavskos. What does the Rebbe say? He says, find something good in him. And when you find something good in him, that there he's not a Rasha in that, even though he's a Rasha Gomer, but if you find something good in that little place, he's not a Rasha, then you can actually change his status when you judge him favorably, because the Rebbe doesn't explain, and you can even bring him to do tshuva. And the Rebbe explains weiter that he says, the pasuk says, David HaMelech says, V'oid ba'at ve'in Rasha, v'izbainat al-mekoyme ve'inenu, that if you find this little bit, ma'at means a little bit, that he's not a Rasha, that he's not this little bit of a place, that he's good, that he's not a Rasha, and then you're going to contemplate and examine, and you're going to see that he's no longer the person that you thought he was, because he's not a Rasha Gam anymore, because you found something good in him. And the Rebbe says, and that's how you're going to elevate him to do tshuva. Sounds really good, but it's EBGB. You know what EBGB means? EBGB sounds like some mystical segula. But if it was a segula, the Rebbe would say it's a segula, so it can't be a segula. So exactly how does this work? What's the mechanics that work over here? And then the Rebbe says, just like you do this with the Rasha, and you're able to elevate him and change him, it seems like we have a power in our eyes of judging people that perhaps when I judge him not favorably, I'm also bringing him down. And when I judge him favorably, then I'm bringing him up. How this works, we don't understand the mechanics, but we accept, Rebbe, we went with Amunah, we accept what you're saying. Says the Rebbe now, the big chiddush that the whole world talks about Reish Pei Beis, even in universities they're talking about Reish Pei Beis, that not only is this avodah with the other person, but this avodah is with yourself, that you internalize yourself. And now the Rebbe says these words, and Rabbi say, I don't care who you are, but every single one of us, whether you started or you want to start, you got to know that the Rebbe is giving you a warning. And he's telling you, like the Surgeon General says, when you smoke, you may get cancer. The Rebbe says, here's a warning. When you're going to start going into self-awareness and start to search within yourself because you want to connect to Hashem, you're going to be challenged that you don't see any good in yourself. Anybody can identify with this place?
Yeah.
Okay. You're going to be challenged that what? Me? I want to come close to my Creator after my journey, after all that I've done, after all that I've gone through, and all this thing. How is it possible that I can go and connect to my Creator? It's impossible because I have nothing. I got nothing in the gas tank. I got nothing. There's nothing there. And the Rebbe says, you're going to be challenged with this. You're going to go through this challenge. And not only that, so the Rebbe says, warning. The first thing is, be careful. Don't let that voice in you pull you down and say that you can't connect, that you're disconnected. Because you're not disconnected. You know why? Because I'm going to reveal something to you that even the Baldava doesn't know. The Baldava gave up on this thing because he knows, who are you? Because really, who are you? You're Malei Chatoim. So what? You have something good. It's covered. It's concealed. It's distant. It's nothing. Before it just hit me before I was talking to Heichel HaTorah, we were talking about it. So I was saying money. The Yetzer Hara knows that it's impossible because logically it makes no sense. It has no judicial system in the world is going to give you the benefit of the doubt because you found something good, even if it's something good in the Ma'aseh Avera, which the Rebbe says a bigger chiddush that it's not even in the Ma'aseh Avera. Eich efshe shaloi osa eize dava toivu mitzvah miyamav. From when you're born. One second, do you understand what we're saying here? So how does this work? How is it possible? The Rebbe is revealing something. According to Rabbi Nosson, it's unbelievable. But the Rebbe is revealing something that the Yetzer Hara doesn't know. Because he knows the logical value. There's no value. The Baldover is going to come with logic and say, you idiot, who are you? You know who you are? Your actions are who you are. Comes along this tzaddik, this gewaldige tzaddik, and this shliach tzibur, this chazan, if you learn the Torah, at the end of the Torah, this shliach tzibur that understands that this is not who you are. You're not your ma'asim roim because it can't be. And he proves it. Because how could it be that in your lifetime you didn't do a mitzvah? How does that play in to judging me today? If I'm being judged today, even if I did something 30 years ago, how does that, and you found it, you come to the judge and you say, hey, you know something, he's a good guy because 30 years ago he did something good. They throw you out of court. So how does it work? Says the Rebbe, and if you've been dying into the shyness of the Rebbe, that there must be, because it's an indication. When I see, first of all, what is, the Rebbe says, there's an akuda, everybody has an akuda toiva mikedushas Yisrael, and everybody knows what Nosson said, that what's our original nakuda toiva? What's the original nakuda toiva that every Jew has? The fact that he's a Jew. Shalai Asani Goy. However, what do we identify as being a Jew? We identify being a Jew as acting like a Jew. And if I don't act like a Jew, then I'm not really a Jew. Even if I was a Jew, yeah, by birth, it's my birthright, but I'm not really a Jew. Says Rabbi Nachman that value alone, the value, that power of, and if you're Medaik in the Torah, whoever learned the Torah, that the Rabbi Nachman talks about that the tzaddik, the Shliach Tzibur makes a Mishkan. He's the Roya, and he makes a Mishkan. And the Mishkan is where the Tinoikis, where the children, the Hevel Piyam She'ein Bahem Chet, where they get the Hevel Piyam She'ein Bahem Chet. So Rav Nachman's talking about the child, and it's I told you I'm stuck here, but the one thing that you could see here is that when he says Eich Efsha, Shalei Osa is a mitzvah Davar Toiv Miyamav, he's talking about, let's go back to our original Nakuda Tova. Let's go back to the child within us. And all of us were born a Yid, And when we were born, we didn't have judgment when we were born. We didn't judge anything. And everything we saw, we believed in. Until we were conditioned by ourselves not to believe in. That's why we judge everything negatively and not favorably. Says the Rebbe, if you go back to your original place, which is your tinai, you're going into the place of Ein B'hem Chet. Your real Nekuda Tova is Kedushas Yisrael, that you're a Yid. So that's an indication. I know that Vadai, even though I see you doing evil acts, even though I see you're a Rosh Hashanah, even though I see that you're hurting me, your mom is hurting me, but I can know that you're a Yid, and I know that there must be something good in you. So what do I do? What do I do right now? Says the Rebbe like this. V'oid ma'at. Did anybody contemplate? The Rebbe keeps stressing the words v'oid ma'at. V'oid ma'at. One question. V'oid means more. Ma'at means less. How does more and less go together? And the Rebbe stresses it, and it doesn't even make sense. In the beginning he says ma'at, find something ma'at, something little bit of toiv, and connect to that little bit of toiv, and identify yourself with that little bit of toiv, and then you're going to elevate him, you're going to elevate yourself until you come to Hazamra, until you sing the song, and everybody has their song and their story. But you have to understand, why is he saying these words, oid ma'at? Oid, because it should fit into the pasuk. The pasuk says, oid ma'at. The pasuk could have said ma'at. So I don't know the teretz, and I have many theories on it. And there's another question. The Rebbe starts off with talking about the other person. I have to judge the other person favorably, and just like I understand that I can judge the other person favorably, I can judge myself favorably. Reb Nosson says fakert. And really the svara is, that the logic is, why am I judging you negatively? The teretz is because I'm judging myself negatively. And when I judge myself negatively, I'm going to see in you my negativity. When I judge myself positively, I'm going to see in you positivity. I said once, and this is, I don't know, it's my own thing, I don't know, but why did Hashem make us with eyes that we can't see ourselves? I can't see me, and you can't see you. I see you, and you see me, but I can't see myself. I'm not saying this is the teretz. Hashem is way bigger. He couldn't make 360-degree eyes that I could see myself. I mean, Hashem, Kol Yokol, you couldn't do it. So I thought to myself, perhaps the only way for me to see myself is what I see in you. And how I look at you is the way I see myself. Says the Rebbe that when a person wants to know if he's in self-awareness or not, the indication is, how do I judge you? The first thing you have to see, and what does the Rebbe say? If you saw a Rosh Hashanah, why did you see a Rosh Hashanah? If you saw that he's a Rosh Hashanah, how did you not see his Nekudas Tovos right away? Must be that you didn't see your Nekudas Tovos, because the Rebbe says, Tzorech lechapes, I need to search. What's my flashlight? How am I searching? What am I doing? The Rebbe doesn't say how to search. What am I doing? Asking him? The Rebbe doesn't say we're having a dialogue with him. The Rebbe is not talking about we're having a dialogue with the guy. Oh, Rosh Hashanah, tell me something. I saw you there. Are you really a Rosh Hashanah? Or maybe I'm not seeing this. Can you? What? We're not having a dialogue. We're making a judgment here. And then I have to search. I don't even know the guy. How could I search within the guy? So perhaps the Rebbe is revealing to us that the reason why I need to start with the other guy is to come to my self-awareness. Because if I see you as a Rosh Hashanah, I cannot, that means there's something wrong internally with me. I'm seeing negativity. I'm seeing your negativity means I'm seeing my negativity. And Memela, therefore, now I'm going to start going to self-awareness. And what are you going to do? You're going to be challenged with darkness, echatoim, and then you're going to find evidence in the Nekudas Tovos. And even when you find that in the Nekudas Tovos, I had agendas, ulterior motives, but it's seeing, I was just about seeing. Sometimes you can't help yourself, and all of a sudden you get this Hesiris, and I don't know if you all felt it, but you explode because you're humbled, and you're fortunate, and you're grateful, and all the feelings. There's so many feelings that you go through at those moments, and then the Yetzer Hara comes, and he says, yeah, the other guy who's next to me, Mendy's next to me. He hears me. He hears my Yetzer Hara. Okay, let me cry a little bit more. You give that extra little cry because that guy's going to be Yetzer Hara because you're Yetzer Hara. But there's a Nekuda Taiva. You know what the Nekuda Taiva is? I was Nesaira by this tzaddik. And even though it's Pniya's Mali agendas, it's a Nekuda Taiva, and that's my identity. You know who I am? I'm a Breslov Chassid. I'm a Chassid of Rabbi Nachman. I'm connected to Rabbi Nachman. This is Baruch Hashem, Be'ez Hashem. Tomorrow night will be my 35th consecutive Rosh Hashanah. I have 35 bombs of Nekudas Taivas. 35, the biggest Nekuda Taiva in the world, because it's the Shliach Tzibah's Nekuda Taiva. And when Nichlal the Shliach Tzibah, the Rebbe said that Gar Mein Zach is Rosh Hashanah. That everything about me is Rosh Hashanah. Reb Tzvi Chesed said, Azamra is the Rosh Tevis, Mein Zach is Rosh Hashanah. So that means that when we're learning this Torah and the Rebbe chooses everything, let me tell you from experience of being here for 35 years, everything you see here is micromanaged. And it's everything is happening. It's not by chance. We know everything. When the Baal Shem Tov said, when the leaf falls off the tree, the Pamal Yeshamala made a decision that the leaf's falling off the tree. There's nothing that's happening here that's coincidental. Think about it. 220 years ago, a 38-year-old man, just try to vision this in your head. 38-year-old man who said a big, great man, but 38 years old. That means his conditioning was when he was 20. Yeah, how could you be makabel from a 20-year-old? Even if he said the greatest Torah in the world, they didn't recognize him. The world did not recognize the Rebbe. 220 years later, thousands of people are coming to Timbuktu, some place in the middle of nowhere, traveling for hours and hours and hours to come because he said, Gar Mein Zach is Rosh Hashanah Shali Oile Al HaKoil. On everything. Everybody came here with Mesiras Nefesh. There's no VIPs. This is the Nekudas Taiva, our universal, if we had to look around in ourselves and we start, I look at this guy, he has his white yarmulke, this guy has his black yarmulke. Everybody looks different, everybody has a different color. You know why? Because everybody has a new Nekuda Taiva. Everybody has their unique Nekuda Taiva. And the Rebbe, the Shliach Tzibur, he's assembling all of our Nekudas Taivas. And he brings us to a place of, we have one mission together that we're here, is to connect and to be here for this tzaddik, for the inauguration of Melech Malchei HaMelachim, the King of all kings. You know where it's happening? It's happening right here. We got the invite and we're at the dais. So we're going to bring our Nekudas Taivas to this Shliach Tzibur. So let me just bring this word of Oid Ma'at. So perhaps, what's this Oid Ma'at? So if we understand that the original Nekuda Taiva is my Kedushas Yisrael Shelo Yasani Goy, and that's an indication that no matter what, there must be still good resonating within me. So when I see this Rasha, even though I don't have a dialogue with him, how am I going to find this Nekuda Taiva? Perhaps I could find it in his Maiserishus, in his Avera. And maybe this is the big bomb, of what the Rebbe is saying, that not just a search for the mitzvah or the davar tov, but if I could find that in the Avera he did something good, because something that he did good in the Avera, because that's what I see. I see his Avera. I see what he did. Either Beinadon Chaver, Beinadon L'Makim. I'm seeing in his Avera something, and that's a Ma'at Tov. He could have done the Avera worse, or he was kind while he did the Avera. He did something that I can attribute to goodness. That's the Ma'at Tov. That's the little bit of good. And the Rebbe says it's Meduyik. The Rebbe says the words Shesham Ein Rasha. Why doesn't the Rebbe say, if it's good and it's pure, Shesham hu tzadik? Why does the Rebbe say Shesham ein rasha? So perhaps the Rebbe is telling me that it's in the Maisa Avera. That the Rebbe is telling us that even if I find goodness, kindness in the Maisa Avera, I attribute that kindness to the original Nekuda Taiva that Shelo Yasani Goy, that's his Kedushas Yisrael. So I'm taking that Ma'at Toiv, ve'oid Ma'at. I am attributing the ma'at to the va'oid, that this is the va'oid ma'at. That's one way of saying the va'oid ma'at. And another way of saying the va'oid ma'at is that how, and goes back to the mechanics to answer, how does this really work, this elevation? Because if you believe that really when I'm looking at you and I see you as a Rosh Hashanah, it means that I myself see myself as a Rosh Hashanah. So that means that I didn't search for my Nakuda Taiva. So the only way for me to search your Nakuda Taiva is to see my Nakuda Taiva. So that means that I'm elevating myself the same time that I'm elevating you. So perhaps whether I'm going into the Ma'at Taiva of myself or I'm going into the Ma'at Taiva of you, the Va'oid is the other person. It needs a connection of me and you and my Nakuda Taiva to your Nakuda Taiva. And that's the Va'oid Ma'at. When I connect and I go into my self-awareness and I elevate myself, I'm elevating you. Or if I go into your Nakuda Taiva and I'm able to identify that this is really who you are, that you're not your Maisim Roim, you are a Kadosh. Your Kedushas Yisrael is pure and holy, and you a little bit of good, and you're worth $1 trillion, not $86. You have it all. In spirituality, a little tiny bit of good is all the good in the world. And you really identify yourself either by yourself or to the other person with this Nakuda Taiva. And then you go and you find another one. And even though that one has psilas, you connect them and you assemble your bouquet of flowers like we learned last year in Torah Samachay. And you assemble says the Rebbe, that's your story. That's your life story. David HaMelech says in Tehillim, Ahalala Hashem b'chayoy. I'm going to praise Hashem with my life. Azamra, I'm going to sing Leilokai ba'oidi. The Rebbe says, ba'oid shali, with my story, Everybody has a story. And what we think the Baldovik tells us logically, your story, you're not connected. And the Rebbe is revealing to you that he's wrong. Your story, you know how you make a good niggin? Listen, tell him how do you make a good niggin? You know how you make a good song? The best songwriters in the world were the ones who were able to express their lowest place, their biggest pain. How does that make any sense? That's going to be my story, my pain, my vulnerabilities, that's going to be my story. Maybe, perhaps, because he was able to take out of his pain something to inspire you, something that makes a niggin. What is a niggin? What's a zama? What's a note? I'm not a musical person. I love music, but I don't know how to play music, but I know that if you play certain notes, you're actually sifting through the notes in order to make the niggin, and there's highs and lows. And if the niggin doesn't have a low, then it's not a song. It has to have a low to have a high. So perhaps that's what the Rebbe is telling us. He's teaching us. Go into your self-awareness, and even though you're going to be challenged with darkness, and you're going to be challenged, you're going to see your how can I even attempt to connect? The teretz is because you were never disconnected. It's only the Yetzer Hara that's telling you that you're disconnected. And when you recognize that you're always connected because you were born a Yid, and you have this little nakuda. What's a nakuda? What does a nakuda mean? What does a dot mean? So somebody was telling me I was walking with you. I was with my son-in-law in Eretz Yisrael. We're talking about with matas. What's a nakuda? You know what a nakuda is? Something more than nothing. Something that's more than nothing. What is the Baldova telling you? You have nothing. You got nothing in your tank. You got a penny in your wallet. What's a penny? You know what a penny is? It's $1 trillion. But that you have to recognize that it's something. There's an akuda that's toiv, that the Reb Nosson explains that toiv is God. Goodness is God. I said, how do you spell in English good? G-O-O-D. How do you spell God? G-O-D. In every good, there's God. There's Stamavertel. But the point is that when I know that I'm connecting to goodness, I'm connecting to the ultimate God, to the Shliach Tzibur, to the Tzaddikim, to goodness. Every goodness is part of real goodness. May we be Zoycha, that the Eibusha will help this Rosh Hashanah Tovshin Pei Daled. This year should be a year for everybody that the Rebbe should bring the Geula through his Torah. The Rebbe said through his Torah, when the people are going to learn my Torah, you can prepare for Mashiach. I don't think there was ever in the history of my watching Breslov that we saw the amount of Torah that's going on in Breslov. Never. I believe that we're on to something big. And please, all of us, bring your hearts, connect with your Nekudas Tovos, especially our universal Nekudas Tovos that we're here and we came here because we believe in this tzaddik. Maybe we zeicher to a good Gebenshah, health, wealth, and real connection to our Nekudas Tovos.